This dish is sweet and sour with a real nice punch of flavour to it. And what is that, Ma?
That got to be crispy shredded chili chicken.
And if you don't know what that is, it's basically crispy shredded chili beef except with chicken instead of beef. And for those of you who have our second cookbook, the base recipe for this can be found on page 77. So we've got an ordinary chicken breast here, and we're just going to slice this up into strips. So Mum is literally just going to cut it in half lengthways as if you were going to butterfly it. And then she's just going to essentially try and go across the grain, but it's not that much of an issue when you're making like crispy stuff with the chicken, because the chicken itself is actually quite tender. Yeah, carry on. And you can see here Mum's cutting them quite thick. You can quite them as thin or as thick as you want. Quite them? You can cut them as thick and as thin as you want. Again, don't worry too much about the grain when you're cutting stuff for chicken. And in fact, some places do in fact cut along the grain specifically with the grain, for chicken and crispy beef because it makes it chewy. And as you can see here, it's all just been cut into slices.
Yep.
Now we're making quite thick ones, but you can then come across and make them thin.
I like to feel the chicken.
Okay.
Taste the chicken.
Yeah, that's not weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not feel the chicken. I mean, when you eat it, you can actually taste it in your chicken.
Yeah.
Taste it in your mouth.
Yeah.
A bite of it.
I mean, that's normally what happens when you eat.
Yeah.
You can normally taste it.
Yeah, when it's too thin, you can't.
There's not enough for the chicken. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So now we're going to batter this.
Yeah.
So then we're going to place about 8 tablespoons worth of potato starch into a baking tray. Now back in the day, places would actually use potato starch along with custard powder. The custard powder is just there for the colouring, a slight sweetness without using sugar so it doesn't burn when you deep fry it, and for a slight eggy flavour. But nowadays, most places are either just using potato starch or potato starch and flour. Remember, we do all recipes differently with different variations whenever we make a video because not one takeaway does it the same. So there are like 3 major different types of dry, sweet and sour batter, for example. And also, we have never at any point said chicken balls or anything that are in a wet batter should have custard powder in. It doesn't. It just has the main flour mix. Some places will add a starch, but it's not going to be a custard powder. It'll either be corn flour or potato starch, not custard powder. I'm going to add some salt.
#MSC Massive.
Yeah, always. Never forget. I'm not wearing the t-shirt today, but normally am. And just a touch of black pepper. Measurements are below if you want them, but if you want to support the channel a bit more, by all means head over to our recipe vault and you get the method as well as videos in advance and extra content.
Thank you for your support.
We're just going to mix this up. I can't remember if I said that. Did I say that?
No, we're mixing it up.
So we're mixing it up.
Yeah.
I think it's obvious from me mixing it that I am mixing it, but you never know. Okay, so we got our chicken here and we're just going to place this into the starch mix.
Just spread it around for easy coating.
Yeah. I mean, when we do this on a commercial scale, we just literally throw it all in one place and then move it around.
Yeah.
But you guys at home can take the time and effort to be a bit more, what's the word? Meticulous, so you don't have to worry about it too much. So you just want a light coating on here. And what this does, the first coating I should say, is helps the final coating stick to the outside. So when your chicken has a nice coating on it, you're just going to shake it off a little bit. You can, of course, use a colander or a sieve here, but that's just more washing up.
Yeah, not necessary though, I think.
No, and I hate washing up, so.
Yeah, me too.
Like I said, there's more than one way to do these recipes, and it's why we do multiple videos on the same recipe, essentially. So if you think you've seen a version before, chances are you haven't.
Sorry.
That's all right. Is that what you hit me for?
Yeah.
Mum just had to sneeze then, just telling me to stop talking.
I think it's the mixture of those spices.
Yeah, pepper. There's only.
Yeah, pepper.
So then,
You're going to put an egg white in.
Yeah, just 1 egg white.
Yeah.
Again, you need to comment if you want to see how to use the egg yolk up, but normally in a takeaway, we'd throw that into the big pot of eggs that we use for fried rice. And because the egg white is a slight alkaline, it will actually velvet the meat. So people will say, don't you velvet the meat for this? No, because that's what the job of the egg white is doing. But yes, we are velveting it because velveting is a process of using a chemical to make meat tender. So technically we have velveted it by using the egg white.
Yes.
Lots of people will use the egg yolk as well, but the egg yolk is actually slightly acidic, which cancels out the effect of the alkaline in the egg white. It still works, but nowhere near as well.
Just a second coat now.
Yeah, so we're just going to place this back into the starch mix. Also, using the egg white makes it difficult for the batter to go really crispy because it's of the fat content of the egg yolk. Whereas the egg white,
using the egg yolk
yeah,
with it.
yeah. Whereas just using the egg white is pure protein, so that just goes really crispy. Those of you who have watched us. That's a weird thing to say. Those of you who have watched us a lot will know that one of the really good techniques here is to make sure your hands are bone dry. Mine aren't right now. Okay, so make sure your hands are bone dry. Put a little bit of the starch onto your fingers and then come under the chicken, all the meat you're battering, and then sort of flip it over. And what that does, it just keeps your hands from becoming like batter
Keep your
clubs.
hand dry.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, your fingers will literally just keep the batter on.
Gluey.
Yeah.
Not say gluey, sticky.
Yeah, and sometimes it won't stick to the chicken
Yeah.
because it will want to stick to your fingers.
If you want to know what we're talking about, you can
Try it yourself.
experiment yourself,
Yeah.
okay?
And then each and every piece you just give a small gentle squeeze when it's fully battered. And that just helps keep the batter on the chicken and helps the texture when it's fried. The texture of the batter, that is. Yeah?
Yeah.
If you're liking the video so far, just make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this.
Yeah, and share and share.
Yeah, and share if you can. Always comment.
Yeah, thank you.
If you want to, that is. So that's all nicely coated. On to the cooking. So we've got our veg oil here and it's hot. We're just going to place our strips of chicken into it.
Do it gently, okay?
Yeah. Now, can't remember what I was going to say.
Gently layer the chicken in the hot oil.
Yeah. That's not what I was going to say. Oh, we're not going to be double frying this today because we're essentially going to be trying to dehydrate this as much as possible in the fat
Yeah,
because it is crispy, so we want less
moisture.
or shredded,
Yeah.
I should say. It's shredded crispy. Whereas if we were doing this for, let's say, Hong Kong style sweet and sour batter, we would most definitely double fry because you want to make sure the outside is crispy and the inside is moist, whereas this, we want the inside to be slightly crispy as well, or crispier than usual, I should say.
Just shifting it around, stop the chicken touching the base.
And stops it sticking together.
Yeah,
That one there looks like a mackerel.
look like look like white bait.
White bait, that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have to constantly move this around, by the way. It's just sort of like for 10-15 seconds at a time, and then let it sit for 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, Ma?
Yeah, that's so I'm daydreaming. Must be the coldness.
What, making you daydream?
Yeah. At first, I was just looking at how the pieces of chicken strip cooking, you know,
What do you mean?
mesmerize it.
Oh, just watching the
Yeah.
bubbles.
Yes.
Do you have a song for bubbles?
No, not today.
No. When I see bubbles, I always think Willy Wonka.
Oh yeah,
Come
the
with
chocolate
me.
factory.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then you'll see. Do you know that song?
No,
World
don't
of
know,
pure
don't know.
imagination. You ever seen Willy Wonka?
I've seen it before. I can't really remember the story of it. It was they went into that factory, wasn't it?
Yeah,
By
sweet.
accident or what?
No, they won prizes to go.
Oh,
But each kid was in an accident because they kept doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
oh. So it turned out to be a nightmare then.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Oh,
And Gene Wilder got really angry at everyone.
oh.
You'll notice here that the chicken is not browning, and it won't when you just use starch, which is another reason why they put the flour in it, because it does brown it off a little bit, and also the custard powder.
Yeah.
But it's not needed. I know someone's going to ask why we haven't chosen to use the flour, and that's essentially because of what, Ma?
It doesn't get burned too quickly. Get brown, not burn.
Yeah.
Not burn.
So, well, it will burn. So if you use the wheat in this mix, wheat flour in the mix, it will essentially go bitter on the outside before the chicken is cooked completely. It's not an issue when, like I say, you're doing Hong Kong style with a 2 frying thing, but when you're having it for long periods of time in really hot fat, it will burn. And we just haven't used the custard powder today because most places aren't using that anymore. And in the cookbook where we do this recipe, we haven't used it in that, so we thought we'd stay true to the recipe in the cookbook.
Yeah, and also give it...
Okay, so this is nice and crispy now. And we're just going to set this aside on some kitchen roll, and then we're going to make the sauce. So we're going to add some veg oil to a pan here. This is just one way. We like to brown off the veg before we make the sauce, whereas other takeaways will make the sauce and then almost poach the veg. If you go to your takeaway and you're used to your veg almost having a raw taste, chances are literally dumping the veg in at the end and just heating it through.
You do what you like.
Yeah, exactly. Not one is better than the other, it's just different versions. Right, so when the oil is hot, we're going to throw in really finely sliced onions and rehydrated garlic granules.
Yep.
So all we did was pour some hot water on these, let them sit for 20 minutes and then drain them. We're going to add, what's that? Salt.
MSG.
Yeah. I'm going to brown off the MSG. I'm going to add
Water.
some, not much. Then I'm going to add some ketchup.
White vinegar.
Yeah. You can use rice wine vinegar if you have it.
Orange squash.
A lot of takeaways aren't actually using the orange squash anymore, but I think it gives it a nice citrus hit in the background, so we're going to use it today. You don't need much. A fair amount of sugar. Remember, Chinese takeaway food is fast food designed to taste delicious and be made fast. Once in a while is fine, because I know someone's going to go, look at all that sugar. It's fine once in a while. You're not eating this every day. A teaspoon of hoisin. Good quality hoisin that comes from tins, not jars, because jars, even though it's the same brand, actually taste different and the ingredients are different on the back, you can just see. Just a couple of drops of watma.
A dash of dark soil.
Yeah, not too much.
Just to give it a bit of colour.
Yeah, literally. Now in the book we do add carrots, but we're not doing that today. You can add pretty much whatever veg you want, if I'm honest. Chili flakes.
Yep.
And we've got some just chilies here. Right, to make this bright red, you're going to need to use food colouring. But you don't have to use it, obviously. It's if you want it bright red, then use red food colouring. See the difference it makes? Bright red.
Yep.
And we're just going to bring this to the boil, reduce it down by a third, and then thicken it up with potato starch slurry. When you thicken it with potato starch slurry, little at a time, and stir as you pour in. If you don't stir as you pour in, you'll make clumps. And if you put too much, you'll just make glue. So we add small amounts at a time rather than loads at once, because you can add, you can't take away. When it's at a nice thickness, I'm going to bring a chicken back in.
Yep.
I'm just going to coat this. So that's essentially done. So we're just going to be serving this on a bed of steamed rice, because it really opens up the flavour for us. But you can use whatever you want. So fried rice, noodles.
Whatever.
Yeah. So here we go. Now obviously you don't need to put this much chilli into it if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. You don't even need chilli in this if you can't even handle any spice. Let's get on it, Ma.
Yeah, we like it. We'll pick a small one. In fact, the flavour is coming through, and the butter on the chicken is
Spot on, isn't it?
yes.
We did garnish this with some chili flakes and some fresh chilies, but again, that's just personal preference, and the fresh ones were essentially just for the camera, for the thumbnail. But the ones you cook in the sauce are really nice and like candied.
Yeah.
Chicken is really good.
Yes. The whole thing is lovely. Please give it a go.
If you've never tried it before, it's like a deeper, more aromatic Hong Kong style with chili in. Hong Kong style sweet and sour sauce, sorry, with chili in. The hoisin sauce really does give it another level of flavour.
Yes.
Doesn't it? Almost an earthiness,
Yeah.
which works really well. Anything else you'd like to add to that? Actually, the sauce with the rice. Get a small bit.
That's all I can say is yummy. I do like the garnish of the fresh chili as well.
Yeah, it gives it a nice sort of freshness when it's
Yeah,
in the
that's
dish.
right. And the cooked one as well. It's just a different
Thing.
flavour.
Yeah,
Give up.
texture as well.
Um,
Personally, I think this goes best with steamed rice.
yeah.
Like the second you have it with the steamed rice, the flavours open up even more. If you have egg fried rice, it can dull the flavour a little bit. I know a lot of you will argue about us with that, but a lot of you have actually listened to us and tried it. And we often get people go, yeah, you're right, steamed rice is actually better to open up the flavours.
I always go for steamed rice.
Yeah.
That's my preference. Oh, It's run away, that one.
Like most Chinese people are going to be eating steamed rice, not fried rice for their main dish.
Yeah, that's amazingly good. Don't forget to share, and thank you for sharing. Hit the like buttons and comments.
Super easy this as well. The ingredients list is below. Comment what you want to see because it really does help us out a lot. If there's a recipe that you want to know, comment below because it helps us figure out what to make for the channel. Visit our web store. It's the only place where our cookbooks are sold, jangs.com, ziangs.com. And aside from that, thank you very much for being here. We can't thank you enough. It's just amazing to us, and we've got some great news that we will be taking videos full-time next year. Maybe not straight away, but next year, very early on next year, we will be doing full-time YouTube.
Yeah, watch that space.
Yeah. So, until the next recipe video.
Happy cooking, happy eating.
Bye.